Do you feel empty after family gatherings? Not angry, not upset, just relieved that it's over. And that relief scares you more than any argument ever could because nothing actually went wrong. No one raised their voice, no one crossed a line. There was no moment you could point to and say, "This is why I feel this way." Everything looked fine. Everyone behaved. Everyone did what they were supposed to do. And yet, when you finally leave and close the door behind you, your body reacts before your thoughts do. Your shoulders drop, your breathing changes, something inside you loosens, as if you've been holding yourself together for hours without realizing it. That's when the exhaustion shows up. Not physical tiredness, emotional, the confusing kind, the kind that comes with irritation, heaviness, and sometimes a quiet sense of guilt. Guilt for feeling drained when you're supposed to feel grateful. Guilt for needing space when nothing bad happened. Guilt for wanting silence instead of connection. But family gatherings don't drain you because of what happens there. They drain you because of what never gets said. When you sit at that table, you're not just present in the moment. You're surrounded by years of unspoken expectations about who you are, how you should react, what parts of you are acceptable, and which ones subtly disrupt the balance. You might not be consciously thinking about this, but your body is. Around family, you're rarely just yourself as you are now. You become a version of yourself that once learned how to survive that room. Old dynamics return quietly, without permission. The part of you that learned to stay quiet so things wouldn't escalate. The part that learned to perform well in order to be approved of. The part that learned to be strong and self-contained because no one else was going to take care of that. You don't choose these roles. Your nervous system remembers them for you, and this is where the real exhaustion begins. Family gatherings are often full of expectations that were never updated. People still relate to a version of you that feels familiar to them, predictable, understandable, safe. But you've changed, so you find yourself editing as you go, pausing before speaking, softening opinions, swallowing reactions because it's not worth it or this isn't the time. That constant self-monitoring creates tension. Not loud tension, internal tension. You feel it in the way you listen more than you speak, in the way you choose harmony over honesty, in the way you manage not just your own emotions, but the emotional temperature of the room. Sometimes there's also an unspoken pressure to forgive things that were never truly acknowledged. Old comments, old dismissals, moments when you needed support and didn't get it. Nothing dramatic enough to justify anger, but enough to leave a mark. So you sit there, smiling, listening, responding, while quietly carrying emotions no one else sees and no one else asks about. Psychologically, this kind of emotional regulation is deeply draining, especially for people who are sensitive, observant, and used to keeping the peace. The ones who notice shifts in tone before words change, who sense disappointment before it's spoken, who feel responsible for keeping everything nice. By the time the gathering ends, your nervous system has been working for hours, not connecting, not resting, regulating. That's why the relief comes later, in silence, when you're finally alone, when there's no one watching how you react or expecting you to be a certain version of yourself. Not because you hate your family, not because you're ungrateful, but because your body finally gets permission to stop holding everything together. And this matters. Feeling drained after family gatherings doesn't mean you're cold or distant. It often means you've outgrown the emotional roles you're still expected to play. You can love your family and still feel tired around them. You can care deeply and still need distance to recover. Because sometimes, the most exhausting part of family isn't conflict. It's the quiet weight of old expectations that no longer fit who you are. So if you need silence afterward, if you need space, if you need time to breathe, that isn't weakness. That's your nervous system asking for honesty, safety, and rest.